You guys were back with another 15-minute interviews. We have Caroline with us today. And so I'm Thomas Isaac Castro, licensed marriage and family therapist here in California. Um, we've been rolling on these interviews. I'm excited about the things that I'm learning, so I hope that you guys are picking up the same thing. I hope we're serving a lot of different people, both therapists and people who are looking for somebody to help them. I hope we're serving a lot of different people and being able to do this. So let's just go ahead and get started. And if you could introduce yourself to us, I'd appreciate it.
Sure. I'm Caroline Artley. I am the owner of E-Therapy Group and a therapist there as well. And I'm a clinical social worker in Maryland.
Maryland, nice. So what is it that you do?
So I primarily work with individuals with anxiety and stress. I work with parents who are overwhelmed and stressed with parenting, and I work with individuals as well. And I recently, in the past year or so, obtained a certification to work with moms and dads, perinatal mental health, maternal mental health, perinatal moods, and anxiety disorders.
So there's a lot of anxiety theme in there. What is some impactful points that you feel like you consistently make with anxiety, and or I guess any of the treatment that you do? Anything?
There are some common things. Let me think how to put them in an organized sequence for you. I think oftentimes my clients fit into one of two categories. One category is they know that they feel anxiety, they feel worry, they feel stress. They know how it feels inside of them. They hear the thoughts going through their minds. They're driving them nuts and they want help with it. The other version of client that I see doesn't know that they're experiencing anxiety. They come to me with other symptoms or other presenting problems. And quite commonly, it's anger. They're saying, I need help with anger. I need to be able to calm some anger. And as we dig into it, we discover that there's a lot of underlying anxiety and stress related to that. And it's just coming out in these outbursts that don't really show who they are on the inside. So when they get that understanding, oftentimes they stop blaming themselves for the anger. And they learn some language to talk to people around them, so that other people understand that it's not that they're being attacking towards them, and it's that they've got something going on the inside they need to sort out before they can work through an issue, for example. And then we can really help them learn strategies to cope with the anxiety as well.
Okay. Do you find that what happens more often? Are we dealing with more of some underlying things going on, or is it more of anxiety? How deep are we having to go in order to resolve anxiety experiences?
Yeah, again, this isn't any one size fits all. So in the people who know that they experience anxiety, I could break those up into two groups too. There's people, it's kind of newer stressors, their life just became really hectic, really busy. Their boss is down their throat all the time, or they're having trouble in a relationship and it's stressing them out. But I'd say, when it's more of the anger outbursts, we're having to dig kind of deeply. And generally people can learn skills to keep themselves calm and react more rationally without digging deep. But oftentimes once they learn those skills, they realize that there's something inside of them that needs to heal, and they want to dig deeper at that point.
Right. Cortland and I, in our last interview, were just talking about how the body kind of tells us really what's going on, right? And so that's an interesting point that you say. They figure it out eventually, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you get your knowledge from somewhere, and we want to try to steal that from you. And so what kind of books, or if there's anybody you follow or anything that you pay attention to a lot and that you learn from, what would it be? Something that you learn from, even a movie or a documentary?
I like to use movies and television characters in the stories that I tell, when I'm working with clients. None of them come to mind at the moment, sorry. But you know, I couldn't name anything in particular that I follow and get the information from. But you know, if there's an area that when I'm working with somebody that I might go search myself, and then I'll send them the information. Here's what I found, and this is what we're going to start working on. What do you think? But as far as where I get the information, that's a good question, because what comes to mind right now, I can't bring anything to mind.
Yeah, you know what? I've actually recently been reading some things, and it not directly related to anxiety, but just about the healing. One of the books that I know that I read, and you know, us talking about anxiety kind of triggers it, which is The Body Keeps Score.
You know, because you made that comment about our body tells us, and I thought he's been reading The Body Keeps a Score lately.
Yeah, that book was a couple of books ago for me, and it still is strong in my mind. And then having that last interview, for sure, you know, it's kind of a theme that I think is helpful. And so things like that, to be able to understand those pieces. So okay.
Yeah, I have recommended that book to people in the past as well. I actually heard a podcast that Bessel van der Kolk, the author of that book, did. And he said, I don't know if you knew this, he said that he got the title from a client. Did you know that?
No, I didn't.
A client of his, years before ever writing the book, said to him, you know, my body keeps score.
Right.
And that resonated for him. I've also often wondered if he gives royalties to this client, because that is a top-selling book.
Yeah.
But it
is really right on, right?
It really is. And what I love about it is it can help explain in simple language why people feel the way that they do in their bodies, and it just validates them. It makes them realize this is a whole body thing. This isn't just something happening up here. And it makes them realize how much everything is integrated within the body.
Hey, that's a key point, integration inside the body, because it's not usually just one thing that we're trying to do to get to a better spot, right?
Right.
Okay, cool deal. So if you can tell us, or we want to leave the audience with something for sure before we take off today. So if you can tell us either a story or a challenge or both, then I think that will give them the nugget that we want to give them.
Okay, so this is part of your format. You do this with all your 15-minute interviews, and I've been working really hard on this, and I'm trying hard. I'd like to get it concise for you, and I'd like to get it to make sense. But, okay, so I grew up my whole life afraid of dogs. Big ones, small ones, it doesn't matter. I had a best friend growing up since kindergarten, actually, is when we met, and we're still friends to this day. And she had a Yorkie, a little Yorkie, and that thing terrified me because everybody else could pet it and cuddle with it and throw a ball and it would get it and come back. But me, if I just reached out to pet it, it would yap me. And I never understood why that was. And anytime dogs were barking, I thought, why me? I'm a nice little kid. Why aren't you barking at me?
Right.
Okay, so fast forward, you know, I finished college, I'm out of grad school, and I take my first job, and this job is really heavy in home visits. Every day I'm going into, you know, 3 or 4 houses to meet with families and work with their kids. And many of those houses had dogs, and I had to figure out how I was not going to overreact in these houses with dogs, because I'm there as the therapist to help them with their anxieties, right? So oddly enough, my husband was super into the dog whisperer at the time. You know, Super Milan.
Yeah.
And he like got all the DVDs of all the seasons and just binge watched them, pre-Netflix era, pre all that stuff. We had to get the DVDs and binge watch them. And Caesar's lesson in all of them, it doesn't matter what the dog's behavior is, the vast majority of them was like, it's you. He was always pointing at the owner, you know, it's you and your anxiety. It's your energy that the dog is feeling. that if you could have a calm, assertive energy, your dog would follow and would calm down. And the people never got it, right? It took him usually some time in the episode before the end. I don't know how many visits he makes to these people to help them out, but eventually they start to see the dog respond to Caesar, and they realize it's possible. And so they have to learn the skill in order to get the dog to follow them and respond to them. So at the same time, you know, I just finished up my graduate work, and I was working and learning, getting more and more in depth with CBT and learning how to calm the body, and got pretty good at the deep breathing skills. So I could walk up to a house and I could knock on the door. When that dog would start yapping, I would go and just calm myself down. And I would make sure, I would actually look at the doorknob, and when the person turned the doorknob, I would exhale. So that would be my calmest when the door opens. And then I would consciously slow my speech until my whole body was completely calm and relaxed. And not only did I feel much better, but I can't tell you how many times I would go into people's houses and they would say, I don't understand why my dog is so calm. Usually when we have strangers over, my dog is just all over the place. I have to lock her outside. She's jumping all over people, all over the furniture. But she's just laying here on the floor. I mean, this would happen all the time. I don't understand why she's so calm. And I would just say, oh, she's just a good little pup. You've trained her really well. And really, I knew what it was because Caesar taught me what it was. It was my energy. I was the calm, assertive person in the room. Everyone's looking at me. And now the dog realizes we can all calm down and relax. And so I like to use that as an example for people, for one, when they're learning the skills involved in CBT for anxiety, for depression, for anger. It doesn't matter what it is. Oftentimes people will think, I tried it all, it doesn't work for me. And there's a lot of other skills out there. We can try a whole bunch of them. Something's going to work for you. And then, you know, if you just try and keep trying, eventually you will find something. So it's an encouragement to kind of step outside your comfort zone. Don't allow something that is fearful for you, a fear situation, to prevent you from doing something that you enjoy. Like me, I enjoyed helping families. I loved the therapy that we did together. And I didn't want dogs to scare me away from it. And, you know, reach out there, learn some strategies to get yourself more grounded and relaxed and comfortable so that you can enjoy your life.
Absolutely. You know what? I'm going to take and steal something from that as well, which is our energy is super contagious. And I remember, and you brought up CBT, I remember reading something about how no matter what our approach is as a therapist, our energy and our connection means healing more than anything else that we can possibly do. So just kind of knowing that, like, and in that situation, if dogs can read emotions like that, right, we're able to do those same kind of things, like so can humans. So if we have that kind of energy, like, we bring people along as well. So I'm literally stealing your story to something that went through my mind. But no, it totally makes sense how it all goes together. So
it does. And I think people hear the word energy, and some people get turned off by that because they think it means some kind of like a voodoo healing type thing. But, you know, we do have an energy about us. And, you know, what is the dog sensing? Is there some kind of an aroma that we give off that we don't smell, but the dog is able to smell? Who knows? But it's obvious, you know, that dog is a barometer for the stress in the room, in the environment, and it's working for them. And so we must somehow be able to interpret that in our own bodies. Our bodies must interpret that even if we haven't figured it out yet neurologically how it's taking place.
Absolutely. Good stuff. All right. So, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be able to share with us so freely and just, you know, kind of letting us have a window into you for a little bit of time. And so thanks for volunteering your time. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, Isaac.
No problem. Hey, this has been 15-minute interviews, you guys. Thank you to all of our guests who come on and visit with us. Hopefully you guys are sharing these videos because somebody out there definitely needs to know that we exist or that the people who I'm interviewing exist. Thank you guys. Have a good afternoon.